Hey guys, so let me get this out of the background. Something like that. So this is kind of an interesting topic, and it's not something that is, I guess, emphasized much in Western culture, especially like in modern Instagram culture. And that's the topic of kind of maintaining a low profile about your business and either how well you are or aren't doing. You'll find in Japan that people tend to be very focused on conforming and blending in and being associated as an integral member of some kind of group, um, to a point that's much more extreme than back home in my case. And so, on the one hand, many people here are happy to do that. They're very proud of fitting in and belonging, and oftentimes they'll sell themselves short, um, to that end. You know, generally speaking, a lot of people here are really underpaid by Western standards, underappreciated for sure, and very often overworked. But it's that sense of belonging and the emotional connection a lot of times that supplements that. But even so, people get frustrated, people get fed up with it, and they know oftentimes after a certain age and level of investment into something, there's little chance of it changing. It's not really like the US where, um, someone might work as a lawyer for 10 years and then they go back to school and maybe get into consulting or sales or so on and so forth. I mean, it happens, but it's generally an exception. So if you take the risk of starting a business, you go out on a limb and you succeed in doing it, you're naturally going to draw attention from people, and they're going to wonder, what's going on, and they're going to keep an eye on you. And and that's true even if you don't start a business. It's true if just being a foreigner. And you wouldn't believe how connected Japan is and how networked it is, and um, the lengths people will go to invade your privacy and find out about you. People can be extremely nosy, and unfortunately, there can also be some extremely bad intentions in people. I've seen it around here a little bit, but I'm lucky to have a family from the area, which in my mind makes all the difference. I doubt I would ever have gotten this far if I just tried to open a school by myself. It's all about having a wife from the area and children of my own. Um, so that said, you really have to be careful about how you're seen, what you say. There's kind of three main areas I never really reveal to anybody except my accountant, and that's how much I pay for rent, how many students I have, and how much money I make. If it's not your accountant, there's almost no reason why anybody ever should know those things. And in doing that, if you start talking about your school, you're either going to incite pity or jealousy without much in between. Um, and it's not something you'll immediately see. It happens in behind closed doors, in the shadows, people gossiping. Um, but the reality is that either one of those, pity or jealousy, can severely undermine you. And the last thing you need as an entrepreneur is to be undermined, even mentally. You'll find yourself you have to become a lot tougher and a lot more resilient and just focused on being objective and then the reality of the situation. And then that that should help you um, kind of make it through most of the time. But just you have to realize that never, ever, ever volunteering your information. Don't be conspicuous about spending. Um, and if you do spend any money, be sure to spend some of it on your school, right? So recently I upgraded my computer, but I also got some new tables for the classroom and some they call them tobidashi chui signs. That means basically watch out for children for the school, just to show that I'm putting back into the community. There's a tradition here in Japan actually where I forget what it is, what time. I think it's at weddings actually where the guest will give you some money as a gift, but you're actually supposed to give some back. So that's a very kind of deep tenet in Japan where everything is shared, and it goes back, just to the socio-political, geographic, historical trends of the place where there was never enough, and everyone lived very, very between very thin margins. So a lot of people here in Japan, you'd be surprised how switched on they are. But they are very discreet in public life, extremely discreet, like unbelievable sometimes how good they are at appearing a certain way in public life and then actually being, rather different in private life. So, but they do have that fear instilled from a very young age of standing out and drawing too much unwanted attention. And as an entrepreneur in this country, you should too. Nobody really cares what you're up to, what you're doing, as long as you don't go drawing a bunch of attention and making a show out of yourself. That's when the trouble really starts. I've seen it time and time again. So, best advice is keep your mouth shut, keep your head down, be friendly, be hardworking, and don't volunteer any information, and don't answer certain questions when asked, especially if they have to do with how much you make, how much you pay for rent, and how many students you have. Nobody except you and your accountant needs to know that. All right. So I hope that's helpful in some way. And if it's not, well, I don't know. They don't know what to tell you. So okay. Till next time.